Hey folks, this is Vince with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to take a very quick look at the game Star Trek the Deck Building Game, the original series. Now, like the next generation deck building game, players are going to be assembling, a killer team of characters and equipment in an effort to complete missions and score as many points as possible. Let's just take a quick moment to look at the components and see how the game is played. Alright, now I'm going to do something a little different here. Vinny and I just finished a game. Normally I would jump into the components one at a time, but since we just completed a game, I didn't want to go ahead and mess this up because we've actually got some great examples here. Each player at the beginning of the game will receive one of these starships, and unlike the next generation, there is no other starships. The starship that you get here is the starship that you'll keep throughout the entire game. And as you can see, it starts out with 0 speed, 0 attack, 0 diplomacy, and 8 defense. And along with each starship card is a 20-sided die. This helps players keep track of their quote-unquote health of their starship throughout the game. Players will also receive these starter cards. Of course, they'll get a starting deck, like with any deck builder. There's a basic deck that everyone starts out with. And these include things like tricorders, hand phasers, evasive maneuvers, you've got ship modifications, and memory alpha. And just like the other cards in the game, each card has a cost in the upper right hand corner. This is how much XP is needed in order to buy this card if it's available in the market there, and I'll explain that in a minute. And along with that, you've also got some stats along the bottom. Each card has different stats that can be used to help a player complete missions. Along with each of the basic cards, each player gets one of each card. You'll also get, some basic characters, as they're called. You'll get 3 ensigns, which look a little like this. And yes, they're wearing red shirts, so you got to keep an eye on these guys. They help the player purchase cards, as you see here. This says 1 XP, so if they were to be played on a person's turn or a player's turn, they can use this XP to help buy whatever cards might cost something. And along with these 3 ensigns, a player also receives 2 of these lieutenants. So a player, in effect, starts with 10 cards total. 5 of these basic characters and 5 of the basic starter cards. I just also want to quickly mention, this is something new to the game, new to the series. This is something that wasn't in the next gen. But each player will receive 3 of these draft cards in the beginning of the game, and will get to keep 2 of them. Basically, they are exact duplicates of the mission cards. They're purple mission cards in the space deck, and these mission cards are universal no matter what scenario you're playing. They're always going to be there. But they're exact duplicates of those basic missions, and players will be able to, keep an eye on these throughout the game, and if they see that they have a hand that would enable them to complete one of the missions they have hidden on their side of the board, they can go ahead and flip it over and complete it, and completing missions will earn players points. And that's exactly what the goal of the game is going to be. You're going to be trying to collect as many cards as you can, or at least the ones that would be the most efficient. And using those cards, you'll attempt to complete these missions. Each mission has a requirement or a goal listed on the bottom of the card. And this one in particular, for example, the Conscience of the King, that's an episode. You need 5 speed and 4 XP. And as a reward, you get to select up to 2 cards in your bridge or discard area. Trash those cards or move them to another player's discard area. So this mission will help a player get rid of cards that they don't want in their deck and possibly push them onto something else. You've got other cards like the Apple, other missions rather, Metamorphosis. These are all episodes of the original series. The Way to Eden, All Our Yesterdays. And the requirements are different. Some require diplomacy, some require attack, and you'll have to keep an eye on these as they come up and as the different cards come up on your turn. Now, what we have going here as far as the board is concerned, you've got these star-based cards over here, and this makes up the majority of the deck. They are made up of things like characters and equipment. Basically, these are purchasable items that a player can buy and put them into their deck in order to help them complete missions. There's always 9 drawn at a time in a 3x3 grid. If you've played Star Trek The Next Generation deck building game, it's exactly like that. You've got your draw pile and your discard pile, and you've got your basic characters listed here. Players can buy them throughout the game. Also, you've got this space deck over here. And the game comes with 2 scenarios. Now, I mentioned earlier that there was a purple card mission deck, and that is that deck is going to be used no matter which scenario you decide to play. However, there is a yellow deck and an orange deck. The yellow deck represents the basic exploration scenario, whereas the orange cards, which let's see if I can find them, which I have to the side right now. You only pick one for the game that you play. But this is the Infection Exploration deck. And it comes with different cards, let's see here, by any other name, Cat's Paw. And because it's an Infection deck, it plays a little like the Borg scenario does in the Next Gen, where some of these cards will have Infection on it. And there's a separate deck called the Infection deck. And as you can see, there's 2 different card backs. One is for the missions and one is for the Infection deck. And these are actually seeded as they come up into a player's deck to give them debuffs in various ways. You've got like Life Prolongation Complex, the Omega-4 virus. Again, these are all episodes of Star Trek. Omicron Spore, Sulu and his sword, and the Psi 2000 virus. So yeah, that is cool, but that is unique to the Infection scenario. If you're playing the basic standard exploration scenario with the yellow cards, you wouldn't use these at all. Now, on a player's turn, what they're going to do is they're always going to have 5 cards. At the end of their turn, they're going to get rid of all the cards in their hand and always draw back up to 5. Now, let's just say for the moment, actually, this is the hand that I ended in, so let me just use this. I drew these 5 cards for my final hand, and some of these, or actually most of these, I purchased via the Starbase pool over here. For example, Christopher Pike is a pretty powerful card. He cost me an arm and a leg, a lot of XP. He costs 9, but he has a lot of kicking stats here. 4 XP to help me purchase things. He's got +3 speed, +2 attack, +3 diplomacy. So he's an excellent card to play should you need to buy something, or if you're wanting to try to attempt a mission. And what a player's going to do is going to take a look at his hand and play these cards in front of them, or whatever cards he wants to play in front of him. And he'll use their effects to do various things. He can purchase cards from the Starbase pool. Once per turn, he can replace a Starbase card. He draw a new one and replace one of the old ones. He can reveal one of the space cards. And if it's a mission, he can attempt to do it. Although some are events, which must be done immediately, and if you succeed or fail, different things happen. There are 2 slots available for these missions. So if you have 2 mission cards there and you happen to draw another mission, one of those missions go away to the bottom of the deck and the new one is put in its place. Otherwise, if it's like an event or something, it just goes to the side. Now, for example, let's just say I went ahead and played these cards. I've got, let's see how many XP I have. 3 lieutenants grant me 2 XP each, and Christopher Pike is 4, so I get 10 XP. So basically, I can take a look at my Starbase pool if I want, and buy a card that is 10 XP or less. Koloth, for example, has a cost of 7. So if I wanted to, I could go ahead and purchase this card, and any purchased cards go immediately into your discard pile. But you'll be drawing those at a future turn, which I'll explain. But he might be something I might want, assuming I was still playing this game. He has pretty good speed, high attack, diplomacy, and he's got some special effects listed here. And let's just say I went ahead and did that, and that's all I wanted to do for my turn. So I would put Koloth into my discard pile, and I would then go ahead and discard all of the cards still in my hand or still on my bridge, or the temporary area where all these cards were sitting, and put them into my discard pile. And then I would draw 5 more cards. Now when this deck runs out, I shuffle all of these together again, and I just keep playing. And that's all players are going to be doing. They're just going to be going around the table, building up their deck, trying to get these missions, and the first person that manages to complete a number of missions in such a way that their total adds up to 300 or more points. Again, the point values are down here. If a player manages to earn 300 or more points from these mission cards, they win the game. And there you have it. This is just a very brief look at Star Trek, the deck building game, the original series. I didn't get to cover everything found in the manual. In fact, this was just a very brief overview. A lot of the cards have some special rules on them that you'll need to follow. I didn't even get to touch on ship combat. There's a little bit of ship combat in this game, and they'll come up in the space deck. So yeah, there's a lot more to this game, but this should hopefully give you a nice brief overview. If you want to see my review, you can check it out at www.dadsgamingaddiction.com, or you can simply click on the link in the below description. That'll take you there as well. This is Vincent Vinny Jr. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.